Hello everyone, my name is Guilherme and welcome to another KV Engine update. This video is going to be split into three parts: what's new, what's next, and the plan for the future. Yes, is it time to release KV Engine? Well, I will need your help in the end of this video, so stay tuned for that because I'm very excited for the future of this engine, and it is not very in this future, it's sooner than you think. So let's get started with this. If you don't know, I do have my own game engine, which is Cave, and you are seeing it right now, and it's been a while since the last update, so I'm very excited to show you everything that I have new. And let's get started with that. The first things that I'd like to show you is, can you understand what's going on in the screen? Can you read the text? Well, I don't think so unless you are from Brazil or Portugal, because everything is in Portuguese right now. Now this is an update that's very simple, but I'm very excited about. I'm working on localization for the engine. I decided that it's going to be cool, especially because I am Brazilian myself, so having a Portuguese equivalent of the game engine will be very interesting for me and my Portuguese audience, not in this channel of course, but I decided to work on that, especially after seeing how a real engine handles the localization. That is basically like it finds the text in English, the original text, and then does like a lookup to a table or something like that to see if there's an equivalent translation, and if so, it displays the equivalent translation. And I found this very interesting, and I decided to create a tool inside the engine itself. It's a tab here called Tradução, which is localization in Portuguese. And if you click here, of course, everything is in Portuguese, that's why it's Tradução. You can see every single line that the engine have in English here in the left, which is the original language of the engine. And you can see here that I do have a row for Portuguese and another one for Spanish. Unfortunately, I don't speak Spanish, so it's empty, and I also made it red when it is empty, when there's no equivalent translation to that. And you can see here that I can select the language. It's in Portuguese. I can go ahead and put English, and you can see that the engine is now in English. And if I go back to Portuguese, it will look up to this table and display the equivalent Portuguese line if it found. And of course, before you ask, is it like heavy, like performance wise? The answer is yes, if you're using Portuguese. If you're using the engine in English, it's just fine. It will not going to try to translate anything. So it does have an extra cost to look up the table and find equivalent translation, but honestly, it's not a lot. And if you don't speak in English and you speak Portuguese, for example, you will be like more than happy to have the engine in Portuguese. So that's a small touch here that I'm excited about it. And of course, there's Spanish translation here. So if someone here that watches me speaks in Spanish, you can help me translating this to Spanish. Unfortunately, I'm limited when it comes to like which languages I can translate the engine to the ones that do have like the English alphabet, like the ASCII text. I don't know what it's called, because the engine does not support like Russian or Chinese or Japanese characters. So unfortunately, I am not going to be able to translate to these languages. And I'm not sure if I'm planning to implement this in the future. Well, you will see. We will see according to the demand. So let's go back to the English version of the engine so I can keep going with the new updates. And the next one is something that actually fixes the problem that I presented to you guys in the last video. So if you remember the last video, I was talking about a problem that the mesh in the engine is just like a mesh, and if you drag and drop it to the scene, it will have like no information, like no material, no texture, no rotation, no armature, no nothing, and you need to manually go ahead in the mesh component and add those values. For example, I will need a material for this, so I can click here and select the character material, or I can drag and drop, by the way, it works just fine as well. So if I remove this material and drag and drop the character, it will work, but still it's annoying. And the transform as well, I need to rotate and do stuff, and I was like, that's not good. And I was suggesting in the previous video that like, what if the engine is not entity component, like all entity component system, but does have something like a real engine, that you have a specific type of entity that does have like a mesh, which is like a static mesh, if I remember correctly, actor, static mesh actor, exactly that, with more information. And you guys, I was reading the comments and talking to some people, and you guys hated this idea, like hey, stick to the entity component stuff. It's gonna be better. And I agree. Yeah, you guys are correct on that. And then I was thinking about how to fix this problem, like, because I would need a fix for this. And then I had a brilliant idea. So in my mesh now, I do have a tab here called hints. Hints is just like, as the name suggests, a hint for the engine on how this mesh should appear in the world. So you can see that I do have a position hint, a rotation and a scale. For example, if you see a drag, when I drag and drop this character, it is rotated to the wrong direction. So if I go ahead here in the rotation and I add like 90 degrees rotation, I can reload the thumbnail. I think it is wrong, but it will be displayed correctly. Yeah. Well, anyways, you can see here, let's add minus 90 degrees, and then I will drag and drop it, and it does have like the correct rotation now because I've added this to the hints of the character. And the thumbnail is for some reason wrong. But anyways, and this is not only the transform, but I do have a default material, so I can drag and drop my character material, a default armature, so I can select my character mesh armature, and a default animation. So I can add, for example, the walk animation for my character. So if I drag and drop this to the world, you can see that it will have a default armature, with a default animation and a default material, and it will work just fine. And if I reload the thumbnail, we can see that it will work as well, as you expect. I think the rotation of the thumbnail generator is wrong because minus this will result in the correct one, as you can see here. But this is a good thing. This is a good thing because it allows you to, like, it speeds up a lot the workflow. And right now, if you import, like now with this feature, if you import like an FBX or a .plant file or anything, it will automatically fill those hints for you with the appropriate ones. So the meshes will no longer have no material. It will have a material as a hint, and of course this is just a hint, so you can go ahead and override this. For example, this character, I can go ahead and disable the material, and it will not gonna affect the other ones. As well, the hint, I can go ahead in the hints and just let me edit the mesh itself, go ahead in the hints and remove the material. You can see it did not affect any of the other existing characters, which is good, and this is a great solution in my opinion. Well, let's move on to the next thing, which is the cave packages. If you remember the last video, I was talking about a way to like create a package with your Cave Engine files, so you can share this with other projects that you have, and also share with the community, like if you have a friend that is using Cave, or you are on our Discord. And by the way, the link for the Discord is in the description. We have a great community over there with a bunch of amazing and talented people, and also people using Cave, which is amazing. If you want to share something, you can just right click, you can create like a folder, for example, with this sample character, for example, and go ahead, right click and export as Cave package, and you will be able to write your name. So let's say your name is, I don't know, Mr. Anderson, I don't know, and then you have a description for that, blah blah blah. An author, of course, this is actually the name of the package, so super package. Now you can put your name here, and then you can add a thumbnail and so on, and export this as a package. What it will do is export this as a file in your file system. Like you can see here that it does have a default path, which is the engine path, but you can put this in your desktop and so on. And the thing is, after exporting this, you can like zip this package and put it online, send to your friends, or open in your project, in another project that you have in Cave. Just right click here, import Cave package, and it will open the Asset Explorer here, and you'll be able to go ahead and find the correct package. I'm not gonna show this again because I've already showed you in the previous video, but I've went ahead and added, I've like walked one step further with this, because now if you export this, so let's say that I export this you can see that it will have a default directory here, and this directory is inside the executable of the engine, the executable folder, sorry. And if you export this directory specifically, it will appear here in the packages tab. So if you click here in package, you can see those 3 packages. I do have like a vehicle stuff, a package, and a character pack, and none of those 3 packages are part of this project itself. They are here because they are in the folder, like in the packages folder that the engine have. And what's good about this is that, let's say you are creating a bunch of different games and you want to have like a template for your vehicle system, for the characters, a first-person movement controller, a third-person movement controller. You want to have a bunch of materials to apply to your scene and so on, and you want to reuse this into different projects. You can save everything as a package, and then when you create a new project, for example, I do have those 3 packs here. I can click one time to see the description of it, the author and the date that this package was added. So this is a simple character you can use in your projects. I can just double click here to import this. So let's try to do this right now. I will go ahead and close Cave Engine and create a new project. Let me pause the screen recorder here. Alright, I'm here with Cave Engine Launcher. Let me go ahead and create a new project, and I'll call it Super Test Project for a video. Create project, it will create a new cave project, as you can see, and it's a blank one, there's nothing happening. But if I go to packages, you can see that I do have the vehicle stuff, a bunch of test thing. This is a corrupted one, if I remember correctly, because I was still developing the game, so this is a corrupted package. But if I go ahead and click here, I do have the option to import package to project, and if I click up, it crashed just fine. Okay, that package was corrupted as well. Sorry for that. So let's create a new one from scratch, and then you see that everything will work. So right click here, export as package, and I'm gonna do live package demo, and the description I'm gonna do for a YouTube video, and the author I will call it Uniday Studio, which is my company name. I will leave with no thumbnail, meaning that it will take a screenshot of what's going on the screen and use as a thumbnail. So click here to export. You can see that it successfully exported the package. So click here OK, and then I will close Cave and open it again and go ahead and pause the video. Now yet again, create a new project. I'll just call it my game this time. Create project. I will save this, and then if I go to packages again, you can see live package demo. This one should work just fine. Yeah, it worked. You can see I clicked import and it worked because this one is corrupted. I need to delete this. Again, I was still developing this, so it corrupted this. But you can see that right now I do have this brand new project, a sample character folder. If I double click it, I do have the character mesh. And here it goes. I don't think I saved the hints that we added. Yes, there's no hints here, but it will save and work with the hints and everything that you want. But you can see that very easily I do have here my character working into a brand new project in Cave. So that's very cool. I really like this package stuff, and I'm planning for like the next release maybe to include a bunch of packages such as CC0 textures for materials, and materials of course, a first-person shooter template, a third-person shooter template, menus like a main menu, quick menu, and so on. So it will help you to create your project. It was a little bit fun to do this live here, especially because it crashed. But as I just told you, this was those 3 packages. I was still developing the package system, so I've updated a bunch of stuff in the save file. That's why it crashed. But you can see that we did a live one here, which is this one, and it worked just fine. And I think that's very positive, like to have this in your projects, because it makes super easy for you to change this, like to create new stuff and apply to different objects. Well, I like this. I really like this. And this character is flying. Yeah, now he's no longer flying. Anyways, so this is another cool update, but that's not it. There's a lot of new stuff as well. And the other one that I'm very excited about is the Cave Engine Profiler, because for some weird reason, sometimes the engine does not perform well. Maybe it's because of me being dumb, creating my game in a super not optimized way. But here's the deal. Until now, the only thing that we had in order to figure out what's going on when it comes to performance in the engine is this frame counter here. You can see 60 frames per second, just fine, but there was nothing else that would help us figuring out what's going on with the game engine. And now I've created a profiler. So if you go to tabs and click here in profiler, you can see that I do have, first of all, like a graph here with the past frames in milliseconds. You can see it's mostly 60 frames per second, which is 16 milliseconds. You can see the average here, which is 16.1 milliseconds. And by the way, you have main here, and you can see that I can go ahead and know exactly what is taking like more time on this. In this case is the debug handling lines. You can see here to draw the lines, it's taking 15 milliseconds. If I disable this, it goes to the bug UI, draw, render end, and this is something interesting because I was having frame drops, and that's why I've implemented this profiler here. And it turns out that it is a Node AMGUI bug with my specific graphics card drivers. I've actually reported this to Omar, the AMGUI, which is the UI, like the framework that I'm using to create the UI in Cave Engine. And when it restores the the state of the GPU of the OpenGL stuff in the GPU, AMGUI, I don't know what it does, but it's super heavy on my computer specifically. Omar, which is the developer of AMGUI, was not able to reproduce this in any other computer, so I'm assuming it's only on my computer. But for some weird reason, I do have frame drops in the AMGUI render end, as you can see here. And it's weird because sometimes it goes to the debug lines, and this is AMGUI as well, and sometimes it goes to the render end if I'm not drawing any debug lines. Again, that's very weird, but again, it's only on my computer, and it does not happen in the executable game when you export the game, because there's no UI, of course, so there's no debug draw UI. But still, it's very interesting to see that I do have here a better debugger with like tabs that I can go ahead and see what's going on. There's nothing a lot here, so this is all the tabs available, but as I expand the engine, I will add more debug options here for you to see what's going on with your game, what's wrong with your game. So this is a good good news for sure, right? Well, so this is what I have new, and now what's next in Cave? Oh, I'll actually show in this project, but right now keep in mind that everything that I will show you is what's next, and it means that it is work in progress. So there's like 65% of chances are for me to crash everything while showing this to you, and so keep that in mind. What is not finished in Cave that I'm still working on. So there's three main things that I'd like to show you. The first one is probably the visual scripting. Right now you can go ahead, create an asset, all assets, logic bricks, you can create a new logic brick, and the thing is, let me try to add to this cube a logic bricks, okay? So I will create a new component here, logic, oh, I don't have it listed, unfortunately. Yeah, I've unlisted the logic brick stuff, so I'm not going to be able to show a live demo of this, but here's the visual scripting of Cave. I can right click and create a new bricks. The only thing that that's missing here for the logic brick to work, the visual scripting, is pretty much the logic bricks, because I only have those test ones, and it will not gonna add in the correct position. So if I add an always, it will add here in the top left, but if I add another one like print screen, it will always add in the top left corner. So but this will give you a great idea on how the visual scripting will work in Cave Engine. So I do have an always that will run every frame, and I have a print string, and I have a value, but I can go ahead and let's get the owner. You can see that it added the owner in the wrong position. So still work in progress this part. And let's add a get transform for the owner. Oh, I cannot do anything with this get transform yet. So let's try. I'm just playing around, okay? Transform rotate maybe. Connect these things together. It will print a random string. And I can send here the transform to this pointer. So this is pretty much visual scripting as well. There's nothing like different here, just a regular visual scripting. But I just wanted to show you guys that it is I've made a lot of progress so far, and it works. But unfortunately, I forgot to list this the visual script. Oh, it is here, logic bricks component. Great. So here's the deal: the logic brick, it will work just like a Python script. So I can create an asset, all assets here, Python script. So this is how to create scripts in Cave Engine, and in the same way I can create a visual script. And just like in Python scripting, where I can just right click, create a new logic type Python component and select my component here, I can go ahead and do the same with the logic bricks. So I have the node tree, and I can drag and drop these logic bricks to this, so we can see that it does have now this cube does have this logic bricks component attached to it. Let me edit this and make it rotate on like randomly on those 3 axes, and it will print a random string. Okay, not a random one, but oh, get a point. Oh, just found a bug. Good. Anyways, now if I play the game, hopefully if it does not crash, you can see that the cube is rotating, and it is probably printing a bunch of random strings, but it is in the system console. You can see here random string, random string, random string a bunch of times. It is not here in this console yet, but what you can see is that the logic bricks is working. Like I've just created a new logic bricks and it works just fine. Let's see what else we have here. I don't have a lot of stuff. Maybe I can do some math with integers. So 1 plus 1, then we get result, and then we convert this to a string, and then I'll go ahead and print this 1 plus 1 integer sum with the print string. And if I click here to connect, you can see that it connected, and if I play the game, it will keep rotating. But if I go in the system console, you can see a bunch of 2s here, because it's printing 2 everywhere. So you can see for the first time in the world that visual scripting is working in Cave. But what's left? Why can't I release this for you? Well, first of all those nodes here are placeholder. This is all placeholder. This is not final nodes. This nothing here is final. So this is the main. Oh, just found a bug. Cool. Interesting. I don't think I can delete the node yet. Yeah, I can't. And I don't think I can disconnect. Yeah, if I hold Control. Yes, if I hold Control, I can disconnect. Okay. So it's working. Interesting. I can't disconnect nodes yet right now, which is cool. I do have this navigator here in the bottom right to figure out what's going on. And if I expand this, you can see that for more complicated visual scripting, it really helps to have this navigator here. So all of this is placeholder. This is what I was talking about, and I need to create the actual scripts here. As long as fix all these bugs here with the wrong position and this wrong stuff here, and it will completely mess things up here if I add another node, as you can see. So again, not ideal, not cool, not easy there's a lot left to finish here in this visual scripting stuff, but what I wanted to show you is it is working. Finally, for the first time in the world, it is working in visual scripting. I just need work on this. And honestly, it will take a while, a lot of time to finish this, which is not very exciting, but that's the truth. But I wanted to show you anyways that it works. Okay, well, the second thing that I want to show you in this video regarding the what's next is the Cave Engine Pro stuff. What do I mean about that? This one is like even more like early access, early in the development, but I want to show you anyways. As I've always said, I want Cave Engine to be like very like compact and precise engine that you can download and use it to make your games, which is great. But I also wanted to provide extra, like more stuff for you if you want to go like even more further away with Cave Engine. That's why I was thinking about creating Cave Engine Pro. This is something that I've been talking for a while, and it will be pretty much Cave Engine but on steroids. In other words, it's a bunch of cool new lifetime like live quality updates and features that you help you to create better games and more in a more efficient way, and so on. And Cave Engine Pro will be paid, but again, I'm thinking about this as a way to support the engine and add like extra functionalities for you to speed up the development process as well. So if you want to use Cave Engine, you always have like the free version of the engine, but if you want more, you have like the pro version that will help you as well. And I started to work in the very first feature of Cave Engine Pro, and I'm excited about it. It's not finished, and it will probably crash in this video, but something that I always wanted to do in my games is an easy way to create like cities, to create buildings and so on. And I wanted to add procedural stuff into Cave. So you can see that I do have a Cave Pro tabs here in the new components, and I have a procedural. I'll go ahead actually and give more space. Cave Pro, procedural, building. And I do have a building component, and what this building component does is exactly what it sounds like it does. It creates procedural buildings. I can create a new section here, and every section is pretty much like, for some reason I cannot see the outline here. Minimum and maximum. Let me go ahead and load one with this already done. Okay, future me here. I just loaded another project that I was using to test this, and you can see that it will generate a procedural building. It's very like crude right now. There's nothing like much very excited for you, but what I wanted to show you is how it will work once it's finished. So here is the deal. I can create sections for my building. For example, I can create a basement, which is the first floor, and I can create like as many sections as I want. I can reorder them, can make the basement like the second part of it. Now I can see that the basement is like on top of this other section, and I call it like, I don't know, I'm not an engineer, so I don't know the name of the parts of a building. So other part, I would call it our other part. And if I generate it again, you can see that I do have the basement on top of it, which is super weird. Now if I generate it again, here we go. But here's the deal. I can, for every section, I can specify the height of the floor. So it's 3.6 meters, now it's 4.2 meters. I can define the minimum and maximum count of floors in this section. So the minimum here in the basement is 0, so no basement, and the maximum is 4. If I make the minimum like 6 and the maximum 6, and I generate, it will always have a 6-floor tall basement. You can see this is the basement. And of course I can adjust this. Let's minimum 0, again, maximum to 3, generate, and it will create a random value between this. And I can select, I can draw here the outlines. It's very weird to do this here. Ideally, I will want to like change the outline here in the 3D view, but for now this is how you change like the shape of the section, as you can see here. And it will use this to fill the part. I'm not going to show the other parts because it's the same, to build a procedural building based on those values. And here's the deal. Here's the interesting part. I do have the filling here that is for me to add a material for the foundation and the ceiling of my procedural part. So if I don't want a foundation, I can just leave it as known. If I don't want a ceiling, I can leave it as known. And this is pretty much the material that are going to be displayed here on top. This is the ceiling of the basement. So this is top part, and the foundation is the material that are going to be displayed here below it. And every section, so this next section does have a foundation and ceiling material as well. Right now I'm setting to just generate the mesh regardless if you have a material here or not, but it's cool to know that it will allow you to define this. And here is the best part. In procedural parts, I will be able to create a formula for the ceiling and for the walls. And what's that? Well, I do have here, and this is the part where it's not finished yet, but you can see here that I do have like a wall part, which is pretty much a window inside a wall, and I do have a wall 2, which is well, similar, but this is like I don't know what's called this in English. Jesus Christ, I really don't know this. Balcony, I think it's a balcony, right? So this is a balcony, and I do have just a regular wall. And the thing is, I will be able in the future, it's not done yet, to click here into edit walls and add parts to the wall. So I will add a new part, and this first part will have this wall 1 mesh. So you can see that I just add this mesh here as a part with a probability to be added, and I can go ahead and add more parts. For example, let me add the wall 2 and another part, which is the wall 3. Here we go, and I can adjust like the probability to make one more likely to appear than the other. I can select like if this is a facade or a side wall or a regular that will be displayed on both sides, and I can use this basically to create a formula for the random system to, instead of creating like empty walls here, as you can see, it right now created some empty walls. It will create like the walls procedurally using those parts, which is very interesting. Like I can just specify a bunch of different wall parts, and then boom, I just adjust the formula here and generate a building, and it will work just fine. So I'm very excited to see this finished, because I really think that you will be able to create like huge cities and so on very easily using this system. And of course, I'm pretending like I'm thinking about expanding this to like generating roads and then generating entire cities with a single click. It will be very interesting. So it's work in progress, not available yet, and I do not have any date on when this will be available for you guys, but I just wanted to show you guys that this is work in progress. Okay, so this is something that I'm excited. And the last thing that I'd like to show you in this video before the plans for the future here, and this video is already long enough, I'm sorry for that, but well, it's been a while and there's a lot of stuff that I'd like to show you, is the properties tab. Well, if you used Cave engine in the past, you know that I do have a tags tab. So every entity in the engine can have a tag tab. Can have tags, and the tag is basically used to identify a specific engine. For example, this is a ground, and I can create a tag. I actually need to put the name of the tag here, so I'll call it ground and click create, and you can see that I do have a ground tag. I can create another ground, for example, can be damaged, and then I can click here to create it, and you can see that I can add text to my entity, and a bunch of them, of course. And this again will be used for identification. For example, if you collide with something, is this a ground? If so, you do something. If not, you do something else. You can use the tags to do this. So that's very cool, but here's the deal. I wanted to improve. I wanted to do a better tag system, and something that I can use in more options, for example, in the visual scripting. And Blender Game Engine does have a very interesting tag system, which is almost a variable, and Unreal Engine does have this as a variable for the blueprint. But I'm here with Blender, and if I go ahead here in this right side, every object in Blender can have a property. And a property is very similar to my tag system. It is also used to identify objects in Blender, but the difference here is that I can add a value, like a number, to the property. So if I click the ground and add a game property, you can see that I can have a name. So let's not ground, let's do this cube here. So add a property called health, which is the life of this. I can select if I want to float, a string, a boolean, and so on. So let's add an integer, and let's make it 100. not 10, 100. Here we go. And then I can add another property called alive to specify if this cube is alive, and I can set it to a boolean and make it true. So we can see that I do have a better system here. And this is, again, in a real engine, we do have variables for the blueprints and everything else, and it's very similar. You can have a type and you can have a value for this. And I really like this system. And since the engine does use Python, the engine right now at this exact moment do have a properties for the entities. Like the engine, Cave engine do have a property for the entities, but right now you can only access this using Python. You can only access this dictionary using Python. So I'm thinking about changing this, and that's why I'm implementing a Python dictionary handler in Cave, and this will probably crash like 100% the engine right now because I'm still working. I started working with this like yesterday, I guess. So again, not a lot of time, but if you go to properties, this is just a test that was figuring out the UI. But if I click here, add new property, you can see that I do have property 0. And if I expand it, I can change the name. So let's add this as health. So this is the health of my character. I make it camel case. Here we go. I can change the type. Let's make it a float. And let's add 100 of health. So you can see that this object right now do have a health properties. And the ground does not have this property, but this object have. And it's 100. And I can add a new property, for example, and I will add like random stuff. You can see the UI is very glitchy at the moment, but it can be an integer, it can be a string, for example, like random alias. Let's add an alias to this, and I'm gonna add super building. You can see that right now this alias is a string and the value is super building, which is good. So let's add another property, and this is interesting. I can this is not limited to Python data types, because float and string is all like a Python data type. I can add my own types, and I mean Cave engine types, of course. For example, right now I only have this 5, 6, I don't know, to test, but I do have a vector2, and a vector2 is pretty much a Cave engine type. This is not a Python type. And you can see that I do have position, and I can change this to vector3, and you can see that this property is now a vector3. And that's very interesting because it will allow us to do advanced stuff very easily. And again, I'm thinking about using this in a visual scripting world as well, because first things first, it's very cool to have properties to the entity itself, but what if I can add properties here to the logic bricks? So every single like component with a logic bricks will have a set of properties here for us to play around. For example, if I'm creating like logic bricks to the character movement, I can create a property with the type integer. So let me do this here with walk speed, not integer but float, and then I can assume walk speed, and then I can create another one for the run speed, and it will be a float with another value as well. So the deal here is that I will be able to use this in a bunch of different places as well, such as the logic bricks. I can create a new logic bricks, and then if I add the logic bricks, I will be able to adjust those settings here locally per component, per logic bricks component. So what is logic brick components? I will be able to like assign those logic bricks and have a bunch of properties here, for example, and I can add all sorts of stuff using this property system. So this is a good thing that I'm really trying to finish as soon as possible, because it will help. Right now it's work in progress. So for example, I cannot delete property, and if I remember correctly, so I do have like 4 properties. If I rename this one, it will work, as you can see. But if I rename the property 2, the last property will stop existing. So if I just type something else, you can see that it deleted all the other properties in front of it. So if I rename the run speed to something else, it deleted. So again, it's work in progress, but it is something that I'm very excited about. And the UI as well is not good, as you can see here. I don't know, like, this could improve. And I was thinking about making this just like Blender Game Engine, because Blender Game Engine have all those values in a single line. You can see that I do have the name, and I can change the name right here, and then I can change the type right here, and then I can change the number right here. And in Cave, this is actually a dictionary with the name and then a type, then a value. But, well, maybe it will be better to just put all those 3 values in a single line. What do you guys think? I don't know. I'm still thinking about the design of this properties UI, but this is something cool. And before you ask, this is based on Python, because in Python, let me just exemplify you guys, I can create a dictionary. This is a dictionary in Python, and then I can do whatever I want, like prop health is equal to 10, for example. This is how we do. And if I want to print the prop, you can see that it does have a health key with the index 10. This is exactly what's going on here in this UI, except that, well, this is a first thing first, this is a C++ application, so I need the type of everything. That's why you need to select the type, and this is in the UI, so that's why I need a type here as something. But in Python, I can also, like, since type does not matter in Python, this is a health, oops, but I can, like, it's 10 right now, but I can change this to true, and it will work. You can see, change the type of the object. This is Python, power. But this is exactly what's going on here, okay? So I can create a wall, speed, and make it 0.1, and you can see that if I display prop, you can see that I do have health and walk speed. So this is pretty much what's happening right here in this exact moment. So yeah, this is the last thing that I'm working on. Still work in progress as well, but this one I really think that I should finish this like as soon as possible, because it really helps the development of the everything. Pretty much. So now let's talk to the last thing in this video, which is the plans for the future. And the very first plan that I have that I want to discuss with you guys is that in 2 days, the moment that I'm recording this video, we're going to have Ludum 51. And if you guys remember correctly, the last game jam, Ludum is like a very famous game jam where you have 72 hours to create an entire game from scratch based on the theme that it will be announced in 2 days. The last one, I've made the Looper's Bug, and the Looper's Bug was my first official game using Cave Engine. This entire game was made in Cave, and that's awesome. And for this version, this time, Ludum 51, I really wanted to use Cave as well. So I'm trying to prepare the engine for this in order to use and create a better game using Cave Engine as well. And this is really like leading what I'm doing in this week for the engine. This is probably why I'm adding these properties, because this is really useful, and this is really something that I wanted to have. Maybe now I'm thinking about, we could add these properties to like entity templates in order to share information. I don't know, a bunch of cool ideas here, but I'm trying, I'm thinking about making like the engine work with this, like I'm trying to make the engine perfect for this game jam. And of course, I only have 2 days left, but here's the deal. What if I release Cave Engine 0.98 this week before Ludum 51? In other words, in 2 days, what if I release it? I'm not going to be able to have everything that was planned to this engine, but, well, maybe it will work. Like, it should be a good idea to release the engine for you guys in 2 days. It will not going to have visual scripting, which is something that I really wanted to do, and it will not going to have the sequence editor, which is how I'm planning to make cutscenes in Cave. Do I have the sequence here? Oh, I don't. Let me try to show you guys. 1 second. Okay, so this is the sequence in Cave. Very first time in the world like that you guys see this, which is super interesting. And And sorry if you started to listen to some sandpaper noise. My neighbor is doing some construction and, well, I can't complain. Anyways, and this will be the future of Cave as well. You will be able to like create, animate pretty much everything. So for every entity here, so nothing works here. This is just a bunch of test stuff. But for every entity, you'll be able to animate every element of the components of every entity in a timeline, and you can see it almost like pretty much working right here and right now. And I'm very excited about this. In the future, you'll be able to use this system to create, again, animations. So I'm excited about that, like very excited about that. And it works just fine. It's just work in progress. And I wanted to release Cave 0.98 with this sequencer as well. And that's why it's taking so many time, because sequencer takes a while and visual scripting takes a while as well. So maybe it's time to like not release this new stuff and focusing and just releasing new version, because Cave Engine 0.98 alone is a huge thing. Like there's a lot of new stuff going on. You guys notice it, like it's been, I think, more than a year since the last version of the engine, so there's a lot new. And well, maybe what if I release it? But there's one last stuff that I wanted to talk. This video is already too long, but anyways, for this release, since the visual scripting is something that takes so many time and it's not even halfway done yet, because I need to create every single like asset type for the visual script, every single brick, logic bricks type. What if I create like a simple visual scripting system, a simpler visual scripting system that is not like a node-based one? I do have some ideas. I do have something that I've made for Dynamy engine, which is the other game engine, and I think it may work just fine for Cave engine as well. So let me know in the comments what you think, and even better, let's go to my Discord server. I will leave the link in the description, and so we can talk about the visual scripting, because maybe it will be cool to release Cave Engine 0.98 in 2 days with a new visual scripting. But other than that, what is left for me to release this engine, other than making the release notes and the devlog? And I'm probably not going to be able to do all the release notes and the devlog this week, especially because of the Lunday. So I will just release it with no devlog and release notes, so stay tuned in the Discord server. I just need to like disable this work in progress stuff. Unfortunately, I was not smart enough to add like a flag until this day to disable this, so I just need to manually disable the sequencer and the logic brick stuff because it's not ready to go yet. And other than that, that's it. This is pretty much what I need to do in order to release 0.98. So I really wanted to discuss all this with you guys, so that's why I'll leave the link in the description. And if you stayed until here in this video, you are a true hero. So thanks for watching, and let me know what you think about all this new stuff in the comments below, and I see you in the next video.